Now, it may seem remarkable, but it was only this year that the first black woman was elected to Germany's parliament. Her name is Awet Tesfaiesus, a lawyer from the city of Kassel in Western Germany. After a racist terror attack, she nearly moved abroad, but instead, Tesfaiesus decided to stay and tried to bring about change.
There's a lot to do and no time to lose. Awet Tesfaiesus has been working around the clock since the general election that secured her a spot in Germany's history books. The Eritrean-born lawyer had been involved in local politics for years. Then, a racist killing spree in her home state shook her to the core.
I don't know why, but the terror attack in Hanau pushed me over the edge. I thought, something has to change. I can't stand this any longer.
10 people were killed in the terror attack, 9 of them first- and second-generation immigrants. Overcome by the feeling that Germany was no longer a safe place for her and her family, she considered leaving the country.
But frankly, it's hard to find a country that's free of racism. So the next option was staying and doing everything possible to fight against discrimination and racism.
Here, in a rural area of the state of Hesse, a woman of color on the ballot is a novelty. But the lack of footsteps to follow was all the more encouragement for the 47-year-old. To her, it's very clear. You can't be what you can't see.
When a third or a quarter of our school children have an immigration background, why are we not seeing that proportion among teachers? We should. As a schoolgirl, I want to see myself reflected in my teachers. Same goes for the authorities and our parliaments.
But as German society grows more and more diverse, statistics reveal that institutions are only catching up very slowly. The Bundestag has 736 members. 83 of them have roots in a different country. 26% of German citizens have an immigration background. In Parliament, it's only around 11%. Less than half of these MPs are women, and until Tesfaiesus was elected, there hadn't been a single black voice among them. From her small-town constituency straight into Berlin's center of power. After her election success, she still has to pinch herself.
I still haven't completely processed it. It's a tremendous honor. This is not just about me. This is a historic moment for all of us, for the entire black community. This is a huge deal.
When asked why it took until 2021 for a black woman to get a seat in the Bundestag, she doesn't hesitate.
Because there's a structural racism in our country. And if we say it doesn't matter that I'm black, we're ignoring these structural problems. That means we're not ready to acknowledge that, as a black woman, I'm presented with different circumstances and obstacles than a woman who is not black, no matter how qualified I am. I hope to be able to focus more attention on the issue of equal opportunities. We need to create awareness, but also push for legislation.
The new MP has many plans, but the biggest of them all is to serve to others as the role model she herself never had.
Well, I'm joined now by Awet Tesfaiesus from Kassel in Western Germany. She's a Member of Parliament. Thank you for joining us, Awet. Tell us about your first couple of months in the German Parliament.
Well, actually my life has been turned upside down. I'm living a total different life now. I was a lawyer. I was unknown in the public. Now I'm very well known, and I'm recognizing that I have opportunities to change things, and that I'm in a position where people listen at me. And this happened like between a couple of weeks and months, and this is a huge change.
So very quick change there. Now, why do you think there's such a small representation in the German parliament of people from an immigrant background, considering that within Germany there's a much higher percentage of people with that immigrant background?
I think we're just starting to talk about diversity in Germany. I think these discussions, which have been going on in countries like the UK, the US, are very young in Germany. We just started, and when I imagine like the feminist movement and equal rights of women, how long that took, and still we haven't reached our goals as women, then I can imagine that it will need some time to talk about diversity, to reach the goals, and to have also here equal rights.
Now, you've said that there is structural racism in Germany. Tell us how deep you feel this racism goes.
It's really deep, and the main problem is we don't talk about it. We talk a lot about the right extremes and about Nazis, but we don't talk about racism. And it starts in a very young age when it comes to which schools students go. And there is this image of which students can go to the better schools. In the fourth grade, the teachers decide which school is the better school for children, and without really being aware of it, there's this image like children from migrant families can't really achieve much, so you have to send them to the easier schools, which means later on they won't be able to go to university. And these are things, or like in which neighborhood you live, in which homes you get, decides on whether you go to the better schools or to the less good schools. So all these things influence also your career and in which field you work later and all these things. So it goes on and on. So we really have to start from the basics.
Right, now, many people in Germany with an immigrant background often feel more strongly connected perhaps to the country of origin of, say, their parents or their grandparents. Is it fair to say, or do you feel that Germany is failing to embrace people then with a different background or a mixed background?
Yes, definitely. And it's also strange because it gets even more, they're more tied to their home countries, the countries where their parents came from, and a generation later or 2 generations later. So although they don't know the countries, they feel more affected to these countries than maybe their parents were, who fled for these countries. So it seems to me like they're looking for a home, and since they couldn't find it in Germany, they're looking for it somewhere else. And then it's maybe Turkey, even though they don't speak Turkish very well, but somehow they have this imagination, Turkey is my home country. So we have to find a way to reach to these people and also show them, of course, this is your country, this is your parliament, you belong here.
So plenty of work to do. Awet Tesfaiesus, German parliamentarian, thank you.
Thank you very much.